Happy Monday, and welcome to Audacity Presents. Look, I guess this may be the year of guests. I don't know, but I am so happy to have another good friend of mine, Cherise. Hello, Cherise.
Hello, Mary.
I am so happy that you're here. I'm really expecting. I know my cousin ain't gonna walk through on the background, but I was like, I wonder if cousin gonna walk through. But
No. I hate to disappoint you.
okay. All right. I call Sharice's husband my cousin. We always say, hey, cousin. He always say, hey, kinfolk. So, but Sharice, I'm so happy to have you on the show. We like to start off the show with what's on your replay. So, what's been on your replay lately, Sharice?
There is a song that since it came out has just had me by the jugular, and it is Firm Foundation, Maverick
Oh,
City.
yes.
Every time I try to move on from Firm Foundation, it just grabs me again. I use it for I was using it for a devotional song for a while. When it first came out, it was really, like everybody, it was resonating with me. And I call myself moving on from it and picking another song for my personal devotion. And I keep coming back to it. And really, the simplest line in it that I think is why I really love it is, so why would he fail now?
Oh,
He won't.
he
And
won't.
that he won't takes me out every
Every time.
time.
I
Every
love that.
time.
Yeah, I love that song. That song, that's a boohoo song.
It is. And just the idea when you think about what it said in the book of Luke about the man building his house on
Yes.
sand and then on the firm foundation. And the fact that because God is the only thing we can really put our trust in.
Yes.
That's what firm is.
That's what it is.
Why would he fail? He won't.
Look, I love it. I love that song. It makes me cry. I get into the ugly cry when they say, rain came, wind blew, my house.
Boy.
Oh my Lord. I'm just
Right. Crying so hard, I started making up words. Birds flew, just something, because I'm I'm gone. I'm gone.
you're right.
Oh,
You could say birds flew, snow came, my house was built on you.
listen, whoever the writer of that song is, the
Yeah.
anointing is all over that song. And I just decided it's my song until it ain't no more.
There you go.
Because it's what gets me through. I love it in times of doubt. And then even when things are going really, especially when things are going well,
Sure.
because I am reminded that I built my house on him.
That's
And
why.
that's why. Yeah.
That's why. That's why. Well, listen, the past few weeks, I have been talking about the audacity to walk away and have shared with the audience of a couple of years ago when I walked away from my technology job and what that looked like. And Lord, am I going crazy? What does this mean? Making sure that it was his voice that I heard. And so I have just been meditating from Genesis when the Lord called Abram to leave his country and leave his father's house. And so I'm like, he stepped out. He was obedient to a God that he didn't even know. And so last couple of weeks when I was talking with Dana, I said, well, we could read that because the Lord said to leave and I will bless you and make you a great nation. It was like, oh, well, it was easy for him to leave because the Lord was going to give him
Made all these promises.
He made all these promises. But then as I was preparing for my conversation with you and I read back over those same scriptures, and the Holy Spirit said, but Mary, he didn't say when he was going to make him a great nation. He didn't say when he was going to bless him.
And if you know the Lord, like we know the Lord, what the Lord is calling a blessing, we don't always see it that way. So
yes. So it's like God may be calling you to walk away. He's gonna always be faithful to his promises, but he ain't gonna tell you walk away in September and on January 31st you have a new car, a new house, a new.
He's not.
That is not what it is. He wants us to be obedient. And so I thank God that you came to mind as well, because I remember you and I sitting in the worship suite For y'all that don't know, y'all know I'm bringing people on that go to my church, but Sharice and I sung in the choir together. And I just remember that night in the worship suite at rehearsal, you sharing with me that you were getting ready to leave your technology job. And y'all know technology pays money. And
And good
so,
benefits.
and the benefits, that's right. So right. So I wanted to bring you on to take us back to that and what that looked like when you finally made that decision to walk away, step out on faith, however people want to call it, but to hear God's voice and to be obedient. What did that look like?
So honestly, before I even got into, I was in telecommunications industry, and before I even got in, I had always wanted to be in education.
Okay.
I come from a family of educators. I'm the crazy cousin that didn't do it like when everybody else did it. So at family gatherings, they'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm making a lot of money. But I wasn't, it just wasn't paying what I wanted to make, honestly.
Right.
And so at the time I finished college, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go into education. They're paying $23,000 a year.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. So when I finished college, I got married pretty quickly and was quickly divorced.
Mm-hmm.
And as a recent divorcee, I had a small child. At that point, I was like, okay, now I'm just looking for the job with the money and the benefits.
Right.
So I didn't really ask the Lord with any specificity for any particular type of career employment. I just said, Lord, let it be where I can take care of me and my son.
Right.
And he answered that, like that. The job came to me and I dove in headlong, and I worked for that company for 15 years, started as a customer service rep and quickly was promoted. When moved into senior management, the expense card, I traveled. It was nice. I never felt passionate about it. I used to try to find people to mentor, and that would kind of get me going. But about 3 months after my director said, you know what, Sharice, I'm about to retire. You're my successor. We're getting ready to start grooming you. And I was like, oh, here we go. This. And one day I was working, leading a call, and I got a text message from one of my peers saying, are you not on this call with HR? And I was like, no, I'm working. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Right.
Logged into this call with HR, and they told me my entire division was being laid off, including this boss that had declared me to be their successor.
Right.
So then that was mind-boggling. Like my head was spinning. And then 24 hours later, I got this sort of back room. It felt very clandestine, like it's supposed to be a secret. I got pulled into an office and they were like, okay, we know we told you we were laying you off yesterday. That was going to be surplus with a package, but one of our clients wants you. And the only way we told them they could have you. So if you don't go to them, you don't get the surplus either.
Wow.
You don't get the package. So I said, wait a minute. Yesterday I was getting the package. Today I'm not getting the package. Now I got to go work for this company. It was a job I did not ask for. I was not interested in, a company I did not want to work for.
Yeah.
And when I reflected on how within a period of 90 days and then really in a period of 48 hours, my status, my value was in the balance. Like, who was I?
Right.
What was my worth?
Right.
What was I supposed? Is this something I was supposed to be doing? And so I went ahead and took that job with the company I did not want to work for, but I took that job after praying to the Lord. I'm going to take this job, but I need you to show me what it is I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And so I just started working and waiting. That's the real talk. I just started working and waiting. And I knew that every position I had ever held, I ended up being a trainer. I was always teaching and mentoring. And so the Lord revealed to me that I was supposed to be teaching and mentoring and training. And that's really what happened. So when I took that job that I did not want, I started graduate school, started working on my alternative teaching certification. I felt like I had been out of school too long to just jump right into teaching. I felt like I needed to get my feet wet again and just in education in general. And so I just worked that job, didn't tell people, nobody knew what I was doing. And then eventually I went through all the process, the hiring, the interviewing, the hiring, squeezing it in, however I could, until I got a job offer to teach.
Right.
And let me tell you, it was one of the happiest days of my life. I felt like a burden was lifted. I did. I was working from home, Mary, on this good job, and would wake up and cry. Didn't want to walk down the hallway. You know what I'm saying? Didn't want to log in. I just was miserable because
But you
once
were
you
making money, you was
making good money,
money.
and working from, nobody understood it. There was
I
not
know.
anyone who understood. Even my husband, God bless him, who loves me and supports me. Whatever I want to do, he tries to make it happen. But he told me, now, babe, I ain't never seen nobody pay for extra education to go take a job making less money. He said, but I guess we just going to have to trust the Lord on this one because I don't understand it. It caused tension in my marriage.
Wow.
So it was me and thee, me and God. I'm grateful that my husband serves the same Lord I do, trust the same God I do. So we were both on our own journeys, but together, right?
Yeah.
And I eventually got to the point where I could walk away from that good job.
Man, whenever we think about walking away, I guess in the world, walking away means walking into something better. But like your husband had said, okay, you got this great job, you went and got this education, now you just go take a pay cut. That don't even make sense.
My friends did not get it. I even had one of my closest friends accuse me really of choosing it because it was a career field that I knew had needed people.
Okay.
She was like, Cherise, you have value. You don't have to do this. You have worth. She was really trying to save me from that big bad teaching profession.
She thought she was going on a mission trip.
She did. And she thought after being laid off and all that, maybe I wasn't feeling good about myself.
Right.
It wasn't it at all. It wasn't it at all. But when you go from being the golden child to someone whose services are no longer needed at all, unless you're willing to do something you have no desire to do, you realize, wait, these people are not, they don't have my best interests at heart.
It's a company. And it's like your identity, at least at the time you thought, oh, well, my identity is tied with this job. I'm fixing to be, I'm fixing to be a successor and this is my identity. And it's like God stripped that away and said, this is not your identity.
Oh my gosh, quickly. I remember being on a business trip on the West Coast and we were in a war room, right? Nobody's going home. It's a billing issue. We're bringing food in, your hotel's next door, we're in there. And everybody was so stressed out. And there was one person crying and folks would raise voices. And I was sitting in this room and I thought, this ain't even important work we're doing. This is not making a difference. All we're doing is making money. And there are people in tears and we are sleep deprived and we are all away from our families and we are not making a difference. We are only making money.
Right.
And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like working that way and having gifts and talents that I knew God had given me. And basically it felt like I was wasting them.
Wow.
To make money, I remember thinking, this is it. I can't do this anymore. So
yeah. It's so interesting because as you're working up the corporate ladder, you're working towards this position, you're working to get this money. And even when you get there, like my whole thing going up the corporate ladder, I wanted that corner office. I wanted my secretary. And it's like when I got there, it was like, this
This is it.
this is, or traveling, you got your expense account, you're traveling, hotels, eating out. And it's like, something missing.
Missing.
Man, and it's crazy, and people do look at you and they don't understand, and it's hard to explain to
It is. You
someone
can't
what
really.
you can't explain it.
You understood it when I was talking to you about it.
Yeah.
But that was a period of my time where I was one of the least understood people. I mean, it was really truly a faith walk.
But Sharice, think about when Abram left. I mean, do you think like his cousin them was like, man, I can't believe you fit to leave all this? Where are you going? I don't know. Well, what you gonna do when you get there? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
Can
exactly.
you imagine?
This is home. This is where we are supposed to be. This is our destiny. That's how, yeah. And I'm sure Abram was like, well, Lord told me something different.
And people looking at him like, man, I can't believe you fix to do that. And this is what's so interesting. Like I said, I've been away from my job for a couple of years, and I have a goddaughter that, is in college. She's just started working. And my brother, who didn't understand when I left my job, girl, you lost your mind. I can't believe that. He had a conversation with my goddaughter, and he said, you need to call your godmother. Evidently, she's doing something right over there. She ain't worked in 2 years. I'm like, baby, trusted in the Lord. That's what you need to be
Right.
doing.
As a matter, it's funny you say that because, I told you my husband was like, I'm just going to trust the Lord because none of this makes sense to me. Our testimony is that although I took a 50% pay cut, over 50%, we have not missed a family vacation. We have tithed. We have blessed other people. We haven't even got a car or two. I mean, I've been on trips with my girlfriends. Our quality of life from a material perspective was not really impacted. It didn't improve necessarily,
right.
But it also didn't decline. But I will tell you this, my husband tells me, I like this Sharice better. You're a better Sharice. We're better. The quality of our life in terms of me having confidence because I know that the Lord called me to this. My husband seeing that I'm not stressed out, that I'm easier to get along with. It just made things better. It had an impact on my relationship with my children. And I believe that it has set an example for my children.
Okay.
So it's better than any sermon I probably could have ever let them listen to for that, because I told them I'm trusting the Lord on this. My daughter was young, didn't really understand, but she was also at the age where teachers are superheroes. She was little, 5 years old, 6 years old, and she was like, "You're gonna be a teacher?" Like it was. She couldn't. I could have said astronaut. It would have been the exact same. And so that was easy. That was slight work.
Yeah.
My son, whom I had pushed really hard, do your best, excel, be the best, so that you can take good care of yourself and have a great quality of life. Well, he was in that. He was just starting college, and so he's looking back at me. Wait a minute, mom's making this drastic change. She's been telling me, but I tell you, I have seen it impact his decision making as an adult, looking at things and saying, is this something that I feel passionate about? Is this something I feel like God created me to do? It really has been a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, he has made, just things you share with me, he has made some very smart moves. Probably other people wouldn't understand, but in watching you and decisions that you made allowed him to make moves as well as he started his career and continued his education. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, 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 wow. Can we take a step back, because like you said, when you walked away from that job, nothing really changed. You never really went without. God still provided your needs and so much more. And I
Mhm.
know for me, when I left, before I left, I'm thinking, well, who's going to take care of this, and how is this going to get taken care of? Because Emmanuel and I still do provide education for our nephews, and one that's in college. And I'm like, oh, we ain't gonna have the money. How are we gonna continue to do that? And I just
Mhm.
remember the Holy Spirit saying, I didn't tell you to worry about all that other stuff over there.
That ain't
I'm
none of
just
your
calling you to
business.
do this. That ain't none of my, that wasn't none of my business. But it was true. I'm just like, well, how are we gonna do this? And what if somebody in the
Yep.
family needs to borrow some money? And I don't have,
Hmm.
I tell you, that's not what I'm calling you to worry about. I'm
I
not
can
calling you to
definitely
worry about.
identify. I
Yeah.
tell you what we learned about ourselves. When I say our, my husband and I, we learned that we really weren't stewarding the resources that God had blessed us with as responsibly as we thought we were.
Yep.
And so, of course, when I changed careers, we started counting every penny, every dime,
Right.
allocating, carrying, like he always says, your cousin always said, all right, now let's carry the one. Checking and rechecking
Right. Right.
and really sticking to a budget in the way that we should as stewards of the things God has
Yeah.
entrusted us with. We actually weren't doing as good a job with that as we should have been. And so when our finances were affected, it made us really become better stewards. And
Yeah.
honestly, Mary, I'm not sure we would have learned that lesson
Ooh.
if if this hadn't happened.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a blessing I didn't even anticipate.
Yeah. And that was one of the questions that I had on here. What did God show or teach you along this journey? And stewardship. I mean, you think that you're making all this money and you're being a good steward when you make moves like this to walk away from something, like you said, you do become a better steward. And
Mhm.
you realize the things that, look, the things that you was buying out there with that good job. It didn't even
Buying and forgetting I owned, like, oh, I forgot I
yes.
had this purse. I forgot I had these shoes. I mean, if you have so much stuff you forget you own it.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
I already know.
I was getting ready for church the other Sunday, and I grabbed this dress and put it on, and the tag
Was
was
still in it.
still on it. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
You can relate.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
probably relate.
we learned to start asking ourselves, do we need it?
Yeah.
Do we love it?
Ooh.
And will we use it? That's really the three questions that we learned to ask ourselves. And so, um,
Say
do we
wait, say that
need
again. Say that again. Do
do
we
we
need it?
need it? Do we
Okay.
love it? And will
Okay.
we use it?
Will we use it? I like it.
Because some stuff you don't need, but if you love it, then you can, make
Right.
some sacrifices on this side so you can pay for it, right?
Right.
But I have learned that I don't need another white shirt, don't need another black dress.
But this one got the split on the
But
left and
this
not the
one,
right.
this one got the high neck and this one got the low. Yeah, I know, I know.
Yeah, and you may love it, but you gonna use it. Are you gonna use it, or is it just gonna go
Right.
to the top of the closet?
Exactly. I absolutely learned that God is the ultimate provider. And He supplies all my wants. I mean, all my needs and a lot of my wants. And
Right.
everybody can't say that. Everybody can't,
Right.
that's not everybody's testimony. I
Yeah.
know people who lived entire life and very seldom ever get something they absolutely wanted, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
Sharice, what does your career look like now? Because I know you started in one spot when you went into education. And
Mhm.
how many years has it been? And what is life like now that you made this change?
So I began just as a classroom teacher, high school English teacher. That was 7 years ago.
Wow.
7 years ago. And now I actually am, I run my campus's early college program.
Say it again. Say it. They didn't hear you.
So
They
my
didn't hear you.
campus, my district has an early college program where students have the opportunity to earn an associate degree while they're earning their high school diploma. And
Yes.
while our campus has roughly 3,000 students on it, about 850 of those students are in the early college program. Those students are mine. And then the blessing is we started the early college program 4 years ago, and I was a teacher in the early college program. So what
Okay.
that means is I have taught almost all of these students that I now support. It's so crazy because all over the campus, everybody knows
They
me.
know you. Yeah.
They know me. So building relationships is so much more easy. I support students who are trying to push themselves academically. The program targets students in demographics who might not otherwise choose to go to college. So the idea is the more college they get now, they have a higher likelihood of continuing when they graduate high school. And it's so fulfilling because so many kids don't see themselves as college material.
Right.
They may be the first one, maybe one parent has a degree, but the other one is the one who makes the most money or something like that. It's all kinds of different family dynamics. But I just get a chance to support the students, their parents, and their teachers, make sure they have everything they need to be successful in the program. I do a little professional development for teachers,
Okay.
and a little bit of administrating. So it's like no day is the same. No 2 days look. But I tell you what, on my Apple Watch, I close every ring every day without exercising. I move. I love it. I absolutely love
Right.
it. I love the campus that God placed me on this journey thus far. I've made some really good friends and found mentors and have had the opportunity to impact the lives of young people. And that's what does it for me, you
Man.
know.
Yeah, that's what I just wrote down because I was getting ready to ask you, how are you impacting the next generation? And
Oh,
every
I
day
love it.
you
Yeah.
have that opportunity to feed into those kids' lives, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Right.
love it. It's not just about teaching them English or making sure they know how to do math. We're growing people
Right.
and
Right.
impacting society in the future. And it really is a daunting task,
Yeah.
but it definitely has more reward than burden. And
Yeah.
I don't ever dread it like I used to. I don't cry walking. I never dread it. I thank God because He gives me confirmation
Yeah.
repeatedly that this is what He has me doing. And it's not that it doesn't look the same. Like you said, when I first started, I was teaching and enjoying that and doing a good job with that. And then another opportunity came along, and I still get the opportunity to interact closely with students and their families. So I would say it's all good, but it's all God.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, last week, or the week before when I was talking with Dana, I had found this quote that Tim Ross had said, and I used it as my Mary moment. And he said, God will never talk to you about what's next until you leave what's
What's now?
now. When
Yes.
he said that, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
You would have
Absolutely.
never known what's next until you left what you had
I
right then.
I didn't even know what I do now existed.
Wow.
And let me tell you, so I was kind of sneaking and getting my teacher certification and my master's degree while I was working this corporate job. I remember leading a remote meeting in my car, sitting in the parking lot of a high school that I was getting ready to go in so I could get teacher observation hours. And the
Yeah.
people kept talking, Mary, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people got to shut up because I got to go in here and watch this teacher. So I remember trying to loud talk them to get them to get off the
Right.
call. All right, then. Well, if there are any other questions, it was just very stressful during doing that. But God repeatedly confirms for me, it's like He led me. He was like, "Yes, come on, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Mm-hmm.
keep going."
Come on.
And the day before I got ready to sign my teacher contract, I called my boss to let her know I was about to resign.
Right.
And so I said, "Hey, I got something to tell you. I kind of kept this close to the vest, but you need to know I'm resigning." And she said, why? And I told her pretty well, I told her enough. And she said, I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear you say that. So I said, no, you're not going to change my mind. Don't. She said, no, the reason I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear you say that is because I was about to tell you that you're about to be laid off.
Oh my God.
Listen. So I said, oh, really? It kind of tickled me. I kind of laughed. And she said, and I can't accept your resignation because if you resign before we lay you off, the lump sum payment we have for you won't be eligible for it.
Wow.
So, Mary, as I was exiting and trusting God, taking these steps, right before I got ready to take that last step, the Lord said, I know your husband is worried about the money, but let me go and slide this in here, right? It was 2 years before we actually really felt my salary decrease.
Right. Wow.
Who does that happen to?
Wow.
It was wild.
It happened.
My first day on the campus, I went to my principal and said, I know I'm supposed to be in orientation, but I got a piece of paper I got to go sign. Will y'all please me? Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. I promise I need to sign this paper so I can get this money. He was like, okay, we'll come right back. Right. I mean, the Lord was just so faithful. And then when that happened, my husband was like, oh, see, I knew we should have trusted the Lord. I knew it all along. I was like, all right, okay.
Listen, cousin. Yeah. That's amazing. But again, you gotta step out. You gotta take that step. God is waiting right there. He's right, but he's looking at you saying, let me see what she's gonna do. Let me see do what I asked her to do.
Absolutely.
Wow. And he's been with you this whole time. Ain't Mr. B.
Haven't Mr. B. And I tell you, it's just like Abram. God told him, I'm going to bless you. And God has definitely blessed me. But he also told him, I'm going to let you be a blessing.
Yep. Wow.
And that's my testimony. And it just, I mean, it's hard to describe. It's an indescribable feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you know it's what God told you to do.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. Cherise, thank you so much for coming on the show. The audacity to walk away. Listen, my listeners been listening to me. I am bringing proof to the table that it is God every time. There is no need to fear. It is God every time. If you are wrestling with whether to leave, whether it is a job, a relationship, whatever it is, sometimes we wrestle with that, or so it can be done. You have to trust in God. You have to trust in God. So thank you so much for being on the show. Tell my
Thank you for having me. It's an opportunity to testify, to give this testimony, because God is great and people need to know about him.
Ooh, God is great and people need. Christ is our firm foundation.
The rock on which.
Yes. All right. Well, tell the family again I said hello and thank you.
I will.
All righty. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Uh-huh.